Hello everyone. In the year 2023 in Indian Forest Service exam, IFoS 2023, they have asked one question. The question was, state the difference between green manuring and brown manuring. Write the advantages of brown manuring. So it was asked as a 10-mark question last year. So let's solve this question. First, let's see about green manuring. The practice of plowing or turning into the soil some of the undecomposed green plant tissues. Some of the undecomposed green plant tissues. So mostly the crops or green manure crops that was used was danger can be used, or sunham can also be used. With respect to rice cultivation, you might have observed these practices. In rice cultivation, mostly you might have observed this practice. Why it was done? It was done to improve the nitrogen content in the soil, nitrogen content, and to improve the organic matter. And apart from that, it also improves the physical and chemical properties of soil. Physical and chemical properties of soil. We were using the tractor here to incorporate these green manure crops into the soil. So this was called as the green manuring. The second concept was brown manuring. In this practice, we will intercrop the legumes along with the main crop. Legumes were intercropped along with the main crop. Here the main crop was maize. So after some period of time, what we'll do, we will use the selective herbicide. So the selective herbicide used here can be 2,4-D. It selectively kills the danger plant. It selectively kills the danger plant here, whereas it doesn't harm any maize plant. Maize plant were not affected by spraying the 2,4-D. So after some period of time, the danger plant will be, after some period of time, the danger plant will turns into brown. So that is why the term brown manuring was used here. Manuring, sometimes also known as the no-till green manuring. In this method, we will use the selective herbicide to desiccate the green manure crops. Selective herbicide, which herbicide we have used? 2,4-D. 2,4-D was used to desiccate the green manure crop, and there was no incorporation. There were no incorporation by using the tractor implement. Tractor was not used. Tractor or tillage not used here. Let's see the difference between green manuring and brown manuring. The incorporation of green manure crops was done by tillage. Here the tractor was used and the tillage operation were performed. Whereas the brown manuring is the no-till version. No-till version means it comes under the conservation agriculture. Tillage was not practiced in brown manuring. It was prone to surface erosion. Green manuring was prone to surface erosion, whereas the risk of surface erosion was not there in brown manuring. The plants are left standing, so it protects the lighter soil from erosion. Third point was moisture was necessary for incorporation. Moisture was necessary for incorporation. You might have observed this condition in paddy field. Before incorporation, we have to flood the field, and after that, we have to do puddling operation. But here, the moisture was conserved. How it was conserved? Because the roots were still binding the soil. Roots were still binding the soil, and the plant residues will also serve as the mulch here. So microbial population was used for decomposition in green manuring, whereas here weedicide or chemical desiccation was used. Weedicide or chemical desiccation was used. I have already told 2,4-D was most commonly used. 2,4-D. And the fifth point is here the most common used crop was sun hemp and daincha. Whereas in brown manuring, any legume can be used, and sometimes even the non-leguminous crop was also used. The last point was here there was no influence on weeds, whereas in brown manuring, it reduces the competition of weeds. Brown manuring reduces the competition of weeds. Let's see the second part of this question. And the second part was advantages of brown manuring. You just see, this was the main crop. This was the main crop. And this was the leguminous plant. Leguminous plant. Since these two were grown as intercropping, it does not allow the weeds to grow. Does not permit the weeds to grow. And second point is here we were using the leguminous crop. So what it will do? It will supply the nitrogen content to plants. It will supply the nitrogen content to plants. After herbicide applications, this plant will die and the crop residue will serve as the mulch here, natural mulch here. So what the mulch will do? It conserves the moisture. Conserves moisture here. This plant residues also improve the soil properties. This after desiccation, the plant residues will also improve the soil properties like soil structure, organic carbon, bulk density, and pH. So it will improve these characteristics of soil, and it suppresses the weed population. And finally, it improves the nitrogen content of the soil. The desiccated leguminous plant will improve the soil biological properties like earthworm or other microorganism. Because these microorganisms will feed on the desiccated plants. It also conserves the moisture. If you observe this diagram, you will come to know it also conserves the soil moisture and prevent the soil from erosion. See, in this soil, plant roots were binding, whereas in this soil, there were no roots binding the soil. So because of it, it conserves the moisture also. And reduces the erosion also. If you observe here, it was susceptible to erosion. Whereas here, no or less erosion. So since the soil were enriched with nitrogen content, it leads to increase in productivity and profit to the farmers. And as I have already told, there were no tillage practiced here, because of which it comes under the conservation agriculture. It conserves the moisture also. Moisture was also conserved. And the soil erosion was also reduced. So no tillage were done here. And finally, it was cost effective because we were not doing any tillage operations or puddling operation here. So it was highly cost effective to the poor farmers of our country. That's it. Please subscribe the channel to get more updates. Also join the Telegram channel using the link provided in the description. Thank you for joining.